Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. If Garuda ever again enters this lake, which the fish here, he will immediately lose his mind. What I am saying is that The Acharyas explain in this regard that because of Shaubhar Muni's material attachment and affection for fish, we fail to see the situation from a spiritual viewpoint. The 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam describes his fall down or this offense. Because of false prestige, Shaubhar Muni lost his power of austerity and with it his spiritual beauty and happiness. When Garuda came to Yamuna, Shaubhar Muni thought, although he may be a personal associate of the Supreme Lord, I will still curse him and even kill him if he disobeys my order. Such an offense attitude against the exalted Vaishnava will certainly describe one's auspicious position of life. As the 9th canto describes, Shaubhar Muni married many beautiful women and suffered greatly in their association. But because he had once become glorious by taking shelter of the Yamuna river in Sri Vrindavan, he was ultimately delivered. Om Bhaktivedanta Swami Before we proceed, we have one important sad announcement. This is regarding one of our Lord sisters, that is disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Prabhupada. Her place Padmamukhi Mataji. She is a very senior congregation member, and all of you may know her son, His Grace Dayananda Prabhu. She left her body yesterday on the auspicious day of Ekadashi at her Mumbai residence, and the last rites will be performed today at 10 a.m. So we will just take a few moments silently to pray for the departed soul, and then we will begin our class. So, I'm very grateful for this opportunity to all of you. And today we are discussing on this chapter about the history of Kaliya in this 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Beautiful pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna described, which attract our hearts to His devotional service. And there is a upakhyan now, which is being told by Shukadeva Swami to Parikshit Maharaj about how Kaliya came to be in that lake of Yamuna. And that's when he is in short, in brief, giving history of Shaubhar Muni. So we all know, you must have heard previous 9th canto, there is a detailed description on this. But in short, Shaubhar Muni was meditating under the waters of Yamuna in a very safe place according to his calculations. But by nature, the material world is never safe. It is full of perversities. No matter how much you try to safeguard yourself. At every moment, some new perplexity will come. And you don't have to work for it. It just comes. Just like a forest fire, no one has to work for forest fire. No one even knows the cause of this forest fire. It just happens. That's why the material world is also described as Madhavananda. It's a forest fire. It is also described as Bhavasagar. It's an ocean where you cannot know the breadth and the depth of this ocean. Full of aquariums, full of all things to devour. This is by nature the material world is created like this. It's not a surprise that at any given time you will be faced with a situation which you have never imagined. Whatever you know so far, you might try to adjust your situations and be very much safe intellectually, emotionally, from your own viewpoint, according to your past experience. But it will have some new experience for you. Like Shaubhar Muni is meditating under the water. It's really a very, very safe place. No disturbance. And no one is coming and disturbing, knocking on the door, nothing. Get that power. And daily he is happy in the cool waters of Yamuna, beautiful fish coming and going. Now every day he must be seeing the sexual affairs of the fish. Right? Every day. Because he was meditating thousands of years. So he never thought that this can attack him. It's a daily affair. It's not that every living entity goes through those eating, sleeping, mating, defending. It's part of their life. So it's happening right in front of him. They're eating, they're sleeping, they're friendly to each other, they're having sex. And never he was attracted. And suddenly one fine day, he sees two fish having sex. Hardly any significance to a human being. I don't think anyone gets attracted by such thing. But he got attracted. He thought, oh, this is something wonderful. He comes out, goes to Maharaj Mandala, the ruling king at that time. And Mandala looks at him and he says, you want to marry my daughter? So he naturally wants to say no. But because he's a great yogi, he's afraid. So he wants to say no in a different way. So he says, okay, go and select anyone of my daughter. Whoever selects you, I am okay. This is a way of saying no. So he goes. And immediately, because he was a great yogi, his intellectual prowesses were very sharpened. So he could understand what the king is saying. He is basically rejecting me. So immediately with his prowess, he made himself into a beautiful, young, handsome man and walked in to the palace. And the sisters started fighting with each other. Who will marry him? This is power. He became very, very handsome. So ultimately, he got married to every one of them. All 50 daughters were married to somebody. And then he enjoyed with them celestial pleasures of sense gratification for hundreds of years and produced hundreds of children. Till one day finally, because Prabhupada says, because once upon a time he was associated with Vrindavan and Yamuna, so grace came upon him. And he said, oh my God, what am I doing? So in this way, he realized his mistake and again perfected his life and prayed for the association of devotees. So this is in short the story of the Shaubhar Muni, which is coming as an offshoot to the beautiful pastime of Krishna subduing Radha. And I'm sure all of you must have heard many viewpoints, various viewpoints on this. It's a very instructive story. For sadhakas, it's very, very instructive. We have many things to learn from this story. So, when I was told of this verse, I am thinking, what we learn from this? So many things we can learn. So first we will see that there are 6 very favorable things for Shaubhar Muni. He was actually very favorably situated. It's not that everything was unfavorable, very favorably situated. You can see that first of all, he had the desire to perfect his life, and he had a desire to pay any price for that. He was determined, and that's why he was under the waters. So he had that genuine desire to perfect his life. The first very favorable point in his life. Again, as sadhakas, that should be our first point. And at least we should have a very, very genuine desire to perfect. We may or may not, but at least a genuine desire. Not that right in the beginning we give it's too difficult. He took it up. Then, to take up this kind of a challenge, he had the required prowess. He had all seen this. He's already actually a perfected being from a different viewpoint. Very powerful. You can see that within a moment, from a very old, ugly looking man, he became a handsome man. Very powerful personality. This was the second favorable thing for him, that he had the required kind of self-esteem, you can say, or whatever, prowess, which will take him to the goal. And staying underwater is not easy. You have to control breath for thousands of years. It's not just breath for a few seconds. You can hold our breath for a few seconds also. If you can chant 2, 3, 4 mantras of Hare Krishna in one breath, it's a great achievement. Correct? And those who do pranayama, they can chant more mantras, but it's not easy. But he could stay under the water, he could control complete breath. Then he found a place which was so perfect, there is no disturbance, zero disturbance. No one can come and talk to you, disturb you. No beautiful women passing by, no advertisement boards, no media bombarding you from various ways, nothing. Very quiet place. And also, On top of that, he was in a forest. Okay, see, even a lake within a city is a quiet place. Because he already had received darshan of Radhanath Swami, who was a spiritual master. And because he was carrying out the instruction of spiritual master in his heart continuously, he was always with spiritual master. So the Prabhupada would say this. When he was apparently alone, people asked him, disciples asked him, Prabhupada, how did you feel when you were alone? And Prabhupada would say, I was never alone. Why? Because he was carrying the instruction of his spiritual master in his heart 24 hours a day. Wherever he was in the world. So therefore, he was never alone. So, the first unfavorable thing here was that he was alone. Then because he had his prowess, the yogic siddhis, he became proud. And false pride attacked him. As they say, pride goes before fall. Just before you fall, the first thing, as soon as pride comes, you can expect a fall. We don't have to be surprised when fall down comes in our own lives. Oh, how did this happen? Because we were not careful to understand the signals of our mind, our heart, which were already being filled with, you can say, feelings of being the controller, being the proprietor, being the competitor of Krishna. That's false pride. True pride is to be servant of Krishna. The true ego. Prabhupada nicely described it: false prestige, false pride, false ego. False. Why it is false? Because there is something true. There is something called as true ego. What is that true ego? Das das das. Jivana Swarupa Krishna Nitya Das. That is our true ego. If you are on that mood all the time, then this false pride will not attack us. And then naturally he developed, we have various kinds of attachment. So when you are in the mode of goodness, you develop attachment to that mode of goodness. Which is good. But it is not the best. In fact, it can become a hindrance in our spiritual progress. So he became attached to the environment around him. Beautiful fish going on, small sea plants around him, corals around him, cool water, not sea plants, the yoga plants. So he got attached to the environment around him, and particularly got attached to the fish. Beautiful fish. It's quite natural. It's not unnatural. Don't we like to sit near a pond in Golden Eco Village and see fish going in? We like it. It's quite natural. But when we lose focus, then there is a problem. So his affection for fish is quite natural. In fact, Krishna likes it. Krishna says, I love those devotees who are Maitra Sarva Bhutana. They are friendly to all living entities. They like living entities. They are not unfriendly. So he is becoming over-attached with self in the center. And because of his Brahminical prowess, Siddhic yogis, he becomes offensive. That is the fourth, you can say, unfavorable thing in his life. Of course, the result we know. When he commits a Vaishnava aparadha against Garuda, he falls down, and he doesn't fall down like Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra, he falls down, comes up, falls down, comes up. Right? 2-3 times a day. He falls down and indulges completely for years. He's into it. He thinks this is the end of life. Till someday he thinks, oh, what happened? Years went by. So that is the fifth thing, that he falls down completely and gets in complete illusion. Suddenly from a very high status in spiritual life, he is into the most degradable situation. Very degrading situation. Surrounded by 50 women, always thinking of sense gratification, trying for sense gratification, completely surrounded by all these things. So in this way, all these things went against him. And because of all these things, we also learn 6 types of lessons from this. So we'll take one by one all the lessons which we learned from the episode of Shaubhar Muni. So lesson number 1, always be with the devotees. This cannot be overemphasized. Nothing for a devotee. Many times devotees ask me, chanting barabar nahi hota hai, ye nahi hota hai. I am really not so surprised or so worried about it. If somebody says, "Mera chanting acha hoga, lekin mandir jata nahi," I am worried. Or those people who say, "You see, Prabhu, when you are in a crowd, devotees, Vaishnavas, they are chosen people of Krishna. And if anything goes against them, Krishna is displeased. So I have decided better to be away from them." I will chant my peaceful rounds without offenses. In my own setting. It's very difficult to be together with the Vaishnavas, because once we commit offenses, you know what happens with the offenses. So I have decided, taken a decision, wise decision, that I would not like to be with the Vaishnavas. I would like to be alone. This is a bogus philosophy. Very dangerous philosophy. Because we are supposed to give up the offensive mentality, not the association of the devotees. We are taking the other way. So always be with the devotees. And once we are with the devotees, then automatically by their instructions, by their association, we are less likely to deviate from the path which we originally came from. Because what happens is, when you come to Krishna Consciousness, this is a path of grace. You can continuously get grace. It's divine grace. And on the way, you get many, many things. When you start looking at those things, you get attached to those things. Whether it is in the form of some position, some name, fame, power, prestige, you get attached. But unless somebody who's just equal to you, he tells you, you are a third-class person. On your face, he has an ability to tell you because he is your friend. The whole world may say, you are so first class, you are so great, you are wonderful. But there is a person who says, you are third class. I remember His Holiness Radhanath Swami was telling one story about his interaction with Prabhu. That one day, Maharaj sang Kirtan in the Krishna Balram temple of Vrindavan. And devotees were like completely mad with ecstasy. It was such a fantastic Kirtan. Everywhere people were dancing. Everywhere. Old people were dancing, ladies were dancing, children were dancing. Not a single soul was not in ecstasy. And still, when he stopped his Kirtan, Prabhu came and told him that was a horrible Kirtan. He said, what kind of music you are playing? Because he was trained in a particular way. So he had that, immediately told Maharaj. And Maharaj said, this is a friend. have to accept. Maharaj saying, oh, who is he? People like it, that's it. No, he has taken a different way. He is my friend. He didn't like this particular way of my use of musical instruments or the way I sang. Because he was a musician, so he looked at it from his angle. So we have to be very, very careful. And therefore, our great acharyas, they stress so much upon association of devotees. In fact, that is the foundation of our spiritual life. Adau Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sangha. The first two stages in our spiritual life is when we have developed that little Shraddha, little faith. That's like the brick of the foundation, but the cement is the association of devotees. And on that strong foundation, then everything happens. Your bhajan and kriya comes after that. You want to chant, you want to do puja, whatever. Read Srimad Bhagavatam. All that sadhana, process of sadhana, is coming only after these two things are established. Shraddha and the association of devotees. And that is going to ultimately take us to the ultimate goal of Krishna Prema. And therefore, when Ramananda Rai was questioned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in various ways, one question which was very interesting, he was always talking about all the happy questions, but suddenly asked, what is the greatest distress in your life? And Ramananda Rai said, oh, I don't know any other greater distress than to be bereft from the association of devotees. So association of devotees, right in the beginning, it paves our way towards Krishna consciousness. In the middle, we enjoy in their company the holy name. The process of bhakti becomes alive. Without association of devotees, even though we know shastrically that this is holy name is sweeter than nectar, but it will become bitter than poison if you are alone. You will not like it. Why? Because there is no collective energy of all the devotees with you who are also putting in their energy to support you. The birds, they fly together. Not that everyone is taking each other's wings and holding. They are flying on their own. But just their association, that because they are flying together, they can say, oh, this bird is also mine, this bird is also mine. And they many times change their leaders. They are flying in a formation. The front bird, after some time, he takes back seat and somebody else comes. Perfect way of, helping each other to go ahead. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he emphasizes it so much. He says, I don't mind even if I become an insect, as a devotee, as a servant of your devotees, rather than a Brahma without this attitude. Imagine the contrast. That means, what is it telling us? What are we supposed to select? A position of Brahma and position of a servant of a devotee. What will we accept? Bhaktivedanta is very clear. Bahirmukha Brahmachandana. I don't care. I do not have any desire to become Brahma who is Bahirmukha. Rather, I would associate with those devotees who are devoid of any sense of bhukti. Bhukti, mukti, spruha, vihina jamanta. I don't want to get in association with those who are having this strong desire for bhukti or mukti, or prestige. But I would like to associate with those who are devoid of all these desires. So this is the lesson number one. And always we have to be with the devotees. Lesson number two. do not be careless in an apparently protected environment. It was a protected environment for somebody. He was very nicely protected by water around him. He was already controlling his breath and senses. So internal as well as external environment was perfect. Spiritual life is a razor's edge. You're walking on a razor's edge. You're handling a razor. When it will cut you, you don't know. So it's like a all alert situation. All the time you have to be alert. That is what spiritual life is. Just because you are in a very, very nice temple or in Vrindavan, that you will not have any problem is an illusion. Why? Because we can see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was going on South India Yatra, who was accompanying him to Hare Krishna dance. Now he was in direct association with the Supreme Lord. But even he left the association of the Lord and went after the gypsy women. Then in another episode when he came to Vrindavan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Balabhadra Bhattacharya was with him. And he is seeing the Supreme Lord every day, serving him nicely. But when some local people came and told him, you know, at night Krishna appears in Yamuna. And he dances on the horse of Kaliya. We have seen. So he submits his petition to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, says, can I go and see Krishna? Illusion. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu affectionately slaps him. And tells him, where have you heard that Krishna will come in Kali-yuga? It's Shastra. So we should not be overtly confident, too much confident about our environment. We should, even within that environment, the internal environment, going within and checking out what's happening there. Because devotional life is not an external show. It's a process of going inwards. Every day we have to go inwards. As I say, that we spend time with everyone except ourselves. Right? We spend time with everyone. The whole world. But when do we spend time with ourselves? So that spending our time with ourselves is introspection. Go inside and see what's happening there. Where am I going wrong? And if we are careful, then we will not land up like Shaubhar Muni. Lesson number 3. Apparent good qualities can also deceive you. As we said earlier, Shaubhar Muni's quality of being protective of the fish is natural. Nothing unnatural about it. All of us have that quality from Krishna. It's natural quality for every living entity. Then we would like to protect those who are dependent on us. So therefore he was very, very protective of the fish. And in order to protect, what is he doing? He wants to curse the Buddha. So apparent good quality, which was there with Shaubhar Muni, because he put himself at the center, he lost his goodness. Arjuna is same Arjuna, but at the beginning of the battle, he was the center. He was thinking, this is my grandfather, this is my guru, this is my brother, these are my relatives. So he was in the center. And he was arguing with Krishna with that viewpoint. That is called as the material viewpoint, which Prabhupada says here. That Shaubhar Muni was affected by this material viewpoint. But when Krishna told him the real dharma, Sarva dharma parityaja mamekam sharanam aham tvam sarvabhadevi mokshishami masita. Abandon all types of religions which you are thinking from your angle and just surrender to me. That is the real dharma. That is Krishna-centric dharma. And because of that, you are protected all the time. So Arjuna was also victim of this. But because Krishna gave him knowledge, he came out of this. We can see in this story of Maharaj Shivi, he also actually faced the exact same situation. When Shivi Maharaj was ruling this earth planet, Narad Muni, when he was traveling, he went to Swargaloka and he started glorifying Maharaj Shivi. That is such a great devotee, such a great personality, a personification of Dharma. So immediately, all the devotees, including Indra, they are happy. Wonderful. And therefore, to help him and to glorify him, they decided to test him. And Maharaj Shivi is sitting in his court, and a bird, a small bird, Vision comes to his shelter and says, Maharaj, give me shelter. Somebody is behind me to kill me. He said, do not worry. I have given full shelter. You have taken my shelter. My dharma as a king is to protect you. The same thing Shaubhar Muni is doing here. I will protect you, all the fish, don't worry, you poor fish. You are not so powerful, but I am powerful, so I will protect you. Shaubhar is saying the same thing. Shivi is also saying the same thing. But what happens later on? A hawk comes behind that. And the hawk is saying, this is my food. God has allowed me to eat this food. Garuda is also saying the same thing. Garuda is a Vaishnava. So, no meat, fish, eggs, is allowed. That species of the Vaishnava is allowed. Krishna has given him that quota. So the king says, no, you cannot. Because that pigeon has taken my shelter, so I cannot allow you to eat it. So he says, is he your only citizen? I am also your citizen. What about my hunger? I will also die of hunger. I need to eat something. You have given protection, but what about me? So protect me also. And what is the reaction? You can say, you arrogant personality of food, I will kill you right away. How dare you challenge my authority? No. He says, okay, what do you want? He says, if you want to really protect me, give me your flesh equivalent to the pigeon's flesh. Now, it's a story which we may think that how this must be happening. They were Kshatriyas of high order and they did not mind giving up their flesh. It's not like that. You are cutting your own body. It's not easy. But he takes that. It's a very, very painful thing, but he accepts it. Okay. If that is so, he is also my citizen, this is also my citizen. So he starts cutting his thigh. Use the flesh. Cuts his arms, flesh from his arms. Use that flesh. And no matter how much flesh you put, the pigeon was still heavier. So ultimately he decides, okay, I think there is some mystical thing happening here. He goes and sits himself. So he's ready to sacrifice his life. This is the difference. And immediately, as soon as he does that, immediately the hawk turns into Indra and pigeon turns into a king. And they bless him. This is very, very blessed that we could get your association. You are such a wonderful soul. Such a great devotee. So this is the difference. For Maharaj Shivi, Krishna was in the center. To protect Krishna's words of dharma, that means the king is supposed to protect everyone. This is Krishna's mandate. To protect that, he is ready to give his life. But here, Shaubhar Muni does something else. What he does? He is trying to kill Garuda. Even though he knows For Garuda, this is not an offense to fish. So therefore, we should be very, very careful in this apparently good quality, apparent good quality, but it may be misutilized by our self-centric nature, egoistic nature. How much more time? 5 minutes? Another incident which is very interesting, how externally, sometimes external things are very deceiving for all of us as devotees. Not only for others, of course for others we should be always giving that benefit of doubt and actually worship them for their good qualities. But for ourselves, when we try to analyze our own qualities, oh, nowadays I chant very nicely. Nowadays, thoughts of self-realization do not disturb me. So you start, ticking the 26 qualities. Okay, this one I have achieved, this one I have achieved, this one. Now very few are left. Very risky. Very risky. Because externally those qualities may be manifesting to deceive you. In Sri Chaitanya Leela we can see that the son of Tapal Mishra, Raghunath Bhatta, he came to Nilachal to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was longing, but one day he got a chance and he came with the permission of his parents. And on the way, he came to Bengal. And in Bengal, he met another devotee. His name was Ramdas Vishwas. Great devotee, was already known personality. He couldn't stop for a single moment without chanting the holy name of Lord Ram. That was his qualification. He was a very learned scholar. He was expert on the scripture called Kavya Prakash. Very expert. He could teach to people. And not only that, even materially he was very highly blessed. He was a secretary to the king. He was a Kayastha. So Kayasthas have very good ability to be secretary and accountants. Very good business there also. So with all this, still he was so humble. Extremely humble. That as soon as he met Raghunath Bhatta, who was much younger in his age, still he said, I am a Kayastha, I am a Shudra. I must know you are a Brahman. So he took his luggage on his own head. At night he would massage feet of Raghunath Bhatta. And Raghunath Bhatta would feel very embarrassed. He would say, you are such a great scholar, devotee of Lord Ram. Why are you doing this? Why don't you just leave me alone? I feel very embarrassed. So he said, no, please do not do this. I beg at your lotus feet, I must do this. So showing all qualities of humility also. And he, throughout his journey after Nilachal, continued to serve Raghunath Bhatta in all possible ways, just like an humble servant. But when they came in front of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as soon as Mahaprabhu saw Raghunath Bhatta, he went, embraced him, he asked about everyone. And they were so happy in each other's association, they were shedding tears. And next, he was supposed to meet Ramdas Vishwas. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu completely rejected him. He did not even look at it. Forget about exchange of greetings. He did not even look at it. Completely ignored it. And Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says, it was because Ramdas Vishwas had a different internal attitude. What was that? With his all his humility, with all chanting of the holy names, it was his own personal agenda to become Jagannath. He wanted to actually become the Supreme Lord. So we should be very careful. What is your agenda? They talk about this. Advertisement. You have to find out what is andar ki baat kya hai. What is inside? Even with his external good quality, what is inside? If these qualities, they are making us tick all the 26 qualities. I am humble. They are not humble. You are already riding you can say, chariot which is going to soon fall. So be very careful. Then lesson number 4. Never use your so-called Brahminical prowess against a Vaishnava. We have seen that in the story of Durvasa Muni and Ambarish Maharaj. Durvasa, from external point of view, is the most exalted personality, and Ambarish is simply a worldly king. He is a pounds and shilling man. Day in and day out into his all material affairs. And here is a person, day in and day out, he is simply into meditation. He is all the time doing some yogic processes, meditations. So externally, he is very powerful as a Brahman. But what is he doing? He is using that prowess, Brahminical prowess, which is given by Krishna to him to serve devotees. He is using it against Vaishnava. And the result we know. Those of you who may not know this story, all of you must know that Durvasa Muni actually wanted to kill Krishna because he thought he doesn't deserve. Because he took a higher position. I am a Brahman. How can disrespect? Even though disrespect was very, it was a minor offense, very, very subtle offense. But he took it as an offense, big offense. And for such a small offense, he wants to kill him. It's complete misuse of a Brahminical power. Parikshit Maharaj, when he put that serpent, because he was so thirsty and the saint did not receive him and give him water, so he was angry, he put that serpent in his anger. Very minor offense. What was the curse? He will die in 7 days. So misuse. So when you misuse Brahminical prowess, then Krishna comes in picture. Vaishnavas, they are children. They are all aware of the first offense against the Lord. They are all very careful. What we just, on one side we are telling Krishna, we want to serve you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Lord Krishna, O Lord Ram, O Hare, please engage me in your service. So while saying this, Krishna is looking at us. Okay, he wants to be engaged in my service. But at the same time, Krishna children are around. And he said, they are bogus, they are useless. I don't like them, I hate them. So Krishna said, get out of them. He takes a serious note of it. That is first offense. On one side, we are saying, oh holy name, please protect me, this, that. And on the other side, we do not like his people. Who will accept this? Even a common man cannot accept this. So forget about Krishna. He's very, very grateful to his devotees. Not just because he loves people, he's very grateful. So we have to be careful in this regard of how we should not be using our so-called spiritual advancement. Because there is another mentality which we see sometimes among devotees, that we think we are advanced. And we think that devotees are committing offense against us. And because they committed offense, therefore they are suffering. This is a mentality. You heard? You must also. Some devotees think like this. Many times are different. Because they committed this offense, or sometimes you tend to curse them. As soon as this kind of mentality comes, you are already out of the favor of Krishna. You are already out. Krishna takes it very, very seriously. Very seriously. Because he loves his devotees. And lesson number 5 is to develop an attitude because of your spiritual advancement or yogic powers or Brahminical stage. Because you get all these things. When a devotee is walking in the street, no one has to in a crowd and the devotees stand out. Why? Because they have a shine in their eyes. They have a different kind of aura around them. It's very natural. Because the devotional process of devotional service, the chanting of the holy names, the four regular principles, eating prasad every day, hearing Krishna Katha every day, it purifies you. So it is seen outside. You don't have to be telling them that I am a devotee. You are seen as a devotee. You get that flowers. But because you got it, now you should know some shlokas, you can teach people. People are ready to give their lives to your lotus feet. So what do you think? I am the controller. And everyone is subordinate. Complete illusion. Because whatever we are getting, even the so-called mercy which we are distributing from the holy name, from the previous Acharya, Sri Chaitanya, it is impossible unless it is coming from the Parampara system. The day we think that I am here to liberate all the people, you are already finished. You need to be liberated. So here Shaubhar Muni is doing the same thing. He got the power and he thought, now I can change Krishna's laws. Krishna has made a law that Garuda can eat fish, but I don't agree with it. This is what the problem is. As His Holiness Radhanath Swami very often says, the devotees, when they come to Krishna, they are very humble. They become in the mood of Das. Das, then you become Prabhu. You become Prabhu. And then you compete with Mahaprabhu. So it is like a, not Mahaprabhu Das. Savior Mahaprabhu is not competing with the Supreme Lord. Very risky. That's why we should go inside. Every day we should meet ourselves. Keep on meeting everyone, meet ourselves also. On a daily basis, on a weekly basis. Look at ourselves. Let me meet myself. Today, my appointment with myself. Let me meet myself. Introspection. We have to do that. So this false pride of thinking I am the controller and I can change the laws is a very, very fundamental root of our material existence. This is actually the beginning of our existence. We began because we thought, why Krishna is controller, why not me? And we go back to the same thing when we start getting position, power, prestige, fame. And instead of utilizing those things gratefully in Krishna's service, we utilize them for our own gain. And in this way, we pave our way for falling down from the face of Krishna. And the last lesson we learn, the sixth lesson from the story of Shaubhar Muni, is that somehow, what was the advantage of Shaubhar Muni? Ultimately, Prabhupada said that somehow he selected Vrindavan as the forest and Yamuna as the river. Somewhere there was a connection, and because of that connection, he came back to his original glory. So somehow we have to be connected with Krishna's holy heart. Rupa Goswami describes 64 items of devotional service, which are very favorable for our progress in Krishna consciousness. And amongst them, he says 5 are topmost. You must somehow or other do that. And one of them is to stay in the holy heart. Naturally, if we have the facility, we should stay in the holy heart. But by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, he has created these embassies of spiritual world everywhere. Wherever you go, one says this is Radha Govinda temple. Your own Rama has a center. Your own house, which is centered around Krishna. Your own house. So somehow, if we make the priority in our life to keep ourselves amidst the Dham, whether it is temple or your own house, I mean, if you are in your own house, create an atmosphere of complete temple. Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati would say, for a householder who is enjoying sense gratification and is not connected to Krishna, when he enters his house, and a devotee who has made his house into ashram, that entry, there is a gulf of difference. Somebody is entering actually the spiritual world, and somebody is entering a spiritual area ahead of material life. Entry point is same. What is the difference? How you have decorated it, how you have prioritized things in your own house, own temple. So somehow if you are connected to this fully heart, one day, even if, because small terms are quite common, do not be surprised. So Prabhupada, when his disciples are, so many people are falling down and going away from Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said, that is not surprising. What is surprising is how many are staying back. So there are so many who are staying back. In fact, Prabhupada said, even if there is one pure devotee comes out of all my endeavors, it's a success for me. I will be completely happy. Imagine, what is the value of a devotee? One devotee from all this endeavor. There will be millions and millions of dollars spent on material life. So much time spent, energy spent. One devotee coming. So in this way, we can see that staying in this holy dham is automatically protecting us. And therefore, devotee, at any cost, he will come to us and take this program. Even though it may appear kitna crowded hai, aajkal log nahi milte hain, we cannot even see each other. Yes, there might be hundreds of excuses why we should not come. There might be hundreds of priorities which may appear as Krishna conscious or maybe more Krishna conscious, more important. But still, something is established. ISKCON is established so that devotees can associate with each other. International society. Why? Because that is the foundation of our spiritual life. And in that association, we are always protected. Even though we may fall down off and on, that protection is available to us. And through that protection, we can actually survive in Krishna consciousness. Because it's not easy. When you think of what's going on outside, it's a very, very discouraging situation. If you look at the outside world, we are in an oasis, completely protected. Why? Because Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj, great Vaishnava, Srinaji, people, Vaishnava, they have created this atmosphere so that we are protected in an oasis. So it's our great fortune. We should be very grateful for that. And somehow or other, even if it is too crowded, whatever it is, we must be here. Regularly. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this is what I thought I should say. I'm grateful for our patient hearing. Today is also the disappearance of Govinda Ghosh. So there's few lines about him. I don't know much. But Govinda Ghosh was one of those three brothers, Govinda, Madhavananda, who were great kirtaniyas. But their kirtan, they would attract Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from wherever he goes. He is always lead singer, Govinda Ghosh. And in Jagannath Rath Yatra, he would be leading the fourth party. The party is led by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And whenever he would start singing, somehow or other, Chaitanya would join and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So his devotional spirits were so wonderful that wherever he was singing, Mahaprabhu would be attracted and he would not stop dancing. So today is his disappearance day. So on his disappearance day, we should pray to his memory and get inspiration how to chant the holy name. It's a such an exciting way. The Supreme Lord is like dancing all the time. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Yes, Shri.
Thank you for a very wonderful class. So, we appreciate. But for the benefit of all the other devotees, I would like to say that recently the GBC has passed a very, very important resolution appreciating the Bhaktivedanta Hospital, of which our speaker today is the director and leader of all the doctors, nurses, etc. Just close the door. So, on behalf of the trustees of the hospital, I deeply appreciate your kind services. And initially, I remember, I don't want to give names, but a very senior Prabhupada disciple was very angry with me. He says, why have you given so much money? Why have you done this? Why you are building hospital? Prabhupada says, and this letter like this, in this speech like this, somewhere he said like that, we do not build hospitals. But the GPC has passed such a beautiful resolution, and it says very clearly that the temple of mind, body and soul, that is what Bhaktivedanta Hospital is. It's more Bhakti, Vedanta and hospital is the last. It is that order. And the doctors there are giving their heart and soul to, not only that, there's added that at Vrindavan we have the hospice, which is also managed by Bhaktivedanta Hospital. And there recently one lady, devotee, Narayani Dasi's mother, she left her body and went home back to Godhead. So, going to a holy ground, at least in the last stage of your life, that also arrangement has been made by the good services of Bhaktivedanta Hospital. And we deeply appreciate. There's one more thing mentioned in the resolution. One more place, Mayapur. So Mayapur also now has started or just beginning. I was there, and they were telling me that they are very much appreciative of the Bombay devotees.
Madhavananda especially name was.
Madhavananda Prabhu's special name was mentioned also, as Mahaprabhu said. So, because he's a lawyer, so he remembers better than me. we are old trustees, we forget. Madhavananda Prabhu has done so much for the... And then we had serious difficulties also by some political party in Hira Road. The doctors stood firm, nurses stood firm, and we were able to overcome all difficulties, to re-establish and like phoenix to rise to this glory. So thank you very much for the news.
We are grateful to all of you, the trustees and the congregation, for their support and encouragement and blessing. Srimad